Welcome, witches, wizards, and muggles alike, to another enchanting episode of Magical Tales from the Slytherin Common Room, bringing your favorite Harry Potter fanfiction to audio format. So sit back, relax, and Accio headphones and let the magic begin.
Two Weddings and a Manhunt by Deydralinne, Chapter 24, Where It Started. The night in question. He knew that something had gone wrong the second he was pulled out the other side of the portkey. His eyes were pressed closed and he felt a little queasy. That had taken far too long to have nipped them off to France. Theodore not? A high-pitched screech assaulted his ears. Oh no, Draco thought to himself. Oh no, that sounded like, ow, 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 stop hitting me, Theo yelled out. Hitting you? You're lucky I don't fucking kill you, Blaze roared. This was bad. Draco slowly cracked his eyes open and groaned when he saw they were standing in a rather shady-looking motel room, and Granger was with them. Theo, Draco growled out. Where are we, and why is she here? I have a name, you know, Hermione spat at him. Oh, would you shove off, Granger, for one sodding minute? Draco snapped at her. Theo! Hermione had stomped over to the door and flung it open before a hysterical-sounding laugh came out. We're in Vegas. She turned and shook her head at Theo, who nodded with far too much glee for someone about to get killed. She shook her head in disbelief. Fuck me, she muttered before anyone could react to that or the knowledge that they were in Las Vegas. She stormed off, slamming the door behind her. Gregory raised an eyebrow at them as if they were going to do something. Blaze lurched forward, having apparently finally snapped. What the fuck, Theo? He yelled, tackling him to the ground and aiming to punch Theo in the head. Gregory dove to pull him off before his fists collided. Right, everyone calm down, Draco found himself yelling. Everyone just take a minute, he said, calmer this time. Draco ran his hand through his hair. Okay, we're in Vegas, as in America? Theo nodded and looked at each other in silence. The motel door swung open again a few minutes later, and Hermione walked back in with several bottles of what appeared to be Muggle alcohol. All right, we may as well enjoy ourselves since we're here, she explained and retrieved 5 glasses from the cupboard, pouring generous amounts of booze into each one. Down the hatch it goes, she said, throwing back the first glass before handing the other 4 to each of them. Merlin Granger, steady on, Gregory exclaimed. Her look silenced him. They all downed the drinks, only to be refilled seconds later. Right, we're going to play a game of Truth or Dare, Hermione said, taking control of the situation. Everyone knows how to play. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you can't work it out, then, well, I can't help you. Who put you in charge? Draco growled. Hermione pinned him with a look. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you know how to function in a Muggle city? No. Then shut the fuck up. Have a drink and play a game with me until I feel I'm sufficiently intoxicated enough to deal with you lot. After which, I will take you guys to the casino across the road and we can throw Blaze a real bachelor party. Where were you supposed to be going anyways? France. Draco has an estate there. We were going to go and do some hunting, play some golf, Blaze started. So boring posh bullshit, she cut him off. Theo laughed. Yeah, pretty much. You say that because you've never experienced aristocrat culture, Granger, Draco defended, annoyed. Hermione threw her head back and laughed. Oh Lord, that is truly what you believe, isn't it? That I'm a Muggle, therefore I must be poor. My family are incredibly well off, Malfoy. So you can fuck off with your biased bullshit. Now shut up and drink, you huge moron. His eyes grew wide in outrage. How dare you? Yeah. Spit on my name, dirty blood, blah, blah, blah. Drink up. She threw her drink back again. Blaze, who was trying to hide a smirk, threw his back too. Theo and Gregory followed shortly after. All 4 of them stared at Draco expectantly. Draco let out a deep sigh and then downed his drink. Hermione was going to get them all very drunk. He was already feeling the room start to spin from the glasses of clear liquid she was pouring down their throats. Something called vodka. "All right, Granger, truth or dare?" Blaise asked her as he watched her refilling his drink. "Truth. In order from smallest to largest, rank the size of your sexual partner's appendages," he said with a smirk. Hermione gave an embarrassed laugh. "All right, smallest, Crumb, Weasley, Wood, Finnegan, Weasley, Thomas." "You said Weasley twice," Theo said. Hermione smirked. Yes, I did." "Granger, you slept with 2 of the Weasley brothers?" Blaise exclaimed in proud shock. Her face reddened, but her grin spread wider. She gave a quick tap to the tip of her nose twice. "Not the one you would think either." "Malfoy, truth or dare?" "Truth." She grinned. "All right, I heard a rumor in second year that you used to suck your thumb. Was it true?" Draco glared at her. He finished his drink before hissing out a "yes," while his friends laughed. "Blaise, truth or dare?" "Dare." "Use your teeth to take off Greg's socks." "Oh, that's nasty," Theo chuckled. After some difficulty, he managed to successfully complete the dare, making sure to throw them in Draco's face when he was done, drinking 2 large glasses of alcohol in quick succession to get the taste out of his mouth. "Gregory, truth or dare?" Greg raised an eyebrow. "After that one, truth." "Have you ever given bad love advice to a friend so you could move in on their crush?" Gregory threw a quick glance at Draco. Before nodding, "Yeah, Pansy in 3rd year. Failed epically anyway." Draco had started to feel rather hot from the alcohol coursing through his system, and he offered a smile to show that he had no hard feelings. "Theo, truth or dare, man?" "Dare. Definitely dare. I dare you to kiss 5 random strangers tonight with no explanation." Theo grinned. "Brilliant." Hermione stood on wobbly legs. "How are we all feeling?" "Rather inebriated, Granger. How do you think?" "Fantastic. Let's go then, shall we?" The casino was bright and loud and swarming with people. There were weirdly shaped metal boxes with pictures that spun when a muggle pulled a lever. As far as he could tell, certain pictures produced more of the muggle coins than others. Theo had barely made it through the door before he had kissed every member of a passing group. 4 women and 3 men, who all stared at him as if he was mental. Hermione giggled, pulling him away, claiming that he was French and muttering some rushed apology. Hermione had exchanged some of the British Muggle money she had in her purse for some American Muggle money. Apparently, there was a difference. She had then exchanged the American money for some plastic circular discs. Each of them had taken to the tables. Blaise had won a few rounds in a game called roulette, but then he had promptly lost just as much. Theo had terrible luck on craps. Draco had given the brightly lit machines a go. He was doing quite well, he thought. Hermione and Gregory had wandered off to something called blackjack. Turns out Hermione wasn't bad because she won a few $1,000s. Gregory, however, seemed to be a natural amongst them as he raked in jackpot after jackpot. He had also somehow acquired some older gentleman's hat. Hermione had either wildly stroking his ego or he had just become comfortably wealthy in the Muggle world. Blaise was barely capable of standing up, having had several more drinks at the bar while waiting for them. After he nearly got into a fight with a guy nearby over something trivial, they decided to head back to the motel briefly to come up with a plan about how to spend the night and hopefully sober up Blaise a fraction. That was, of course, when shit hit the fan. "What the fuck do you mean you didn't organize the portkey home?" Blaise screamed at Theo. Theo didn't even have time to answer before Blaise started throwing punches. "Okay, everyone calm down," Hermione slurred. "Where is the magical embassy?" She seemed content to feed him to the wolves when Theo shrugged. Her hands waved out dramatically in an "I can't even" way. Draco knew he should be angry. He knew he should be pulling Blaise off Theo. but he was too distracted by Hermione's ass. Her dress highlighted every curve of it, and all he wanted to do was take a bite out of it. Ouch! She screamed when he did exactly that. What the fuck, Malfoy? He gave her what he hoped was a seductive look. Just appreciating your fine ass. She stared at him for a bit before bursting into laughter. Dude, you're so drunk. Hey guys, Gregory called from the doorway to the bathroom that he was now holding closed. A little help? Hermione flicked her wand and the door clicked audibly. They all stared at the door when they heard a thump on the other side of it. Okay, so give him an hour to sleep it off. We need to find a way home so he doesn't kill Theo. At least not before I do. So no port key, no embassy. We need an owl. Oh, I know. The zoo will have owls, she cried out. Granger, it's like 2 a.m. The zoo isn't open. Theo chuckled as if she was the idiot here. She glared his way. You should hope not, since I'll be stealing the fucking thing. Where are we going to find a zoo, Granger? Do you know your way around here? Draco droned, his eyes still on her ass. Had Granger's ass always looked so good? Hermione caught him looking, because a moment later she smacked him around the back of the head. He offered a weak sorry, but given that he was smiling and trying not to chuckle, it didn't seem to be very effective. Draco reached out and tried to grab onto her hip, but she swatted him away with a laugh. I'll go to the reception. Often places like that have heaps of pamphlets on things to do in the area. For the love of God, stay here and do not wander off. Theo, you're with me. Greg stared at him when they had left the room. What the fuck was he thinking? Was all he said. Draco shrugged and tried to focus on the spot in the room that wasn't tilting. After another minute, Greg snapped at him again. What the fuck are you thinking, by the way? Stop hitting on her, he finished with a laugh. Draco smirked and gave a shrug. She's fine. Theo bustled into the room with his arms loaded with weird plastic packages with pictures of food on them. Hermione waved her on from the motel door. Theo opened the door, currently containing Blaze, in the bathroom and dumped them onto the man who was asleep with his head next to the toilet. For you to calm down, he said, as Blaze's eyes flew open. Quickly, he pulled the door closed again, and Hermione locked it once more. I got a map, Hermione claimed, waving a pamphlet around. To everyone's horror, she poured another series of drinks for them, large ones at that. Is that a good idea? Greg slurred. Hermione gave him a stern face. Unless you want to be dealing with the murder situation, then yes, because I'm this close. She held her index and thumb up in a particularly pinched motion to killing him. She jabbed her finger at Theo, who just smirked back at her. Gregory sighed and accepted the drink without further argument. Draco was sitting on the other end of a double bed as he drained his drink, and he fell backwards. Nope, no you don't. Get up, you fucking lightweight. Hermione walked over and tried to pull him up, but Draco's arms snaked around her waist and pulled her down on top of them. Behind them, Theo started whistling. Hermione giggled and punched Draco in the chest playfully until he let her go. Come on, Casanova, we need to go save your best friend's wedding. The motel Blaze was currently sleeping off his drunken rage in was on the boulevard of brightly lit shops. They were stumbling along, trying their best to keep Theo from entering every single one. I just can't believe you won so much money. Have you really never played blackjack before? Hermione frowned up at Greg, who, for some reason, had brought a beer with him from the miniature icebox at the motel. Draco wasn't clear on why. Greg could barely see straight as it was. Then again, perhaps he wasn't one to talk, having done the same. Nope. Lucky, lucky, lucky. What's it called? Beginner's luck, he cried out, raising his glass in the air. Her! Draco called out. Guys, Theo stopped dead in his face against the glass of a shop, whose windows were littered with little drawings. Oh, it's a tattoo shop, Hermione exclaimed, stumbling to a stop. Draco had to admit he was impressed with how well she was doing in those high heels. They definitely didn't look comfortable, but damn did they look good. They made her legs look so long and deliciously slender. A what? Draco mumbled. You know, like the Dark Mark, except not linked to a Dark Lord of Evil. Greg stepped forward to watch in the window as a tattoo artist worked on a woman's ankle. It looks pretty cool, and they can do whatever picture you like. Yeah, whatever you want, man. If Theo wanted a unicorn on his dick, they could do it. Why would I get a unicorn on my dick? Tell Greg to get a unicorn on his dick, Theo grumbled. Draco snorted. Greg wouldn't get a tattoo. He's too much of a tight ass. Greg threw a glare his way. Draco shrugged, finishing his beer. What? You are far too much of a pussy. I am not. I'm just not an idiot. Pussy, Theo chuckled. Draco and Theo started laughing and leaning against each other. Hermione smirked at them with a shake of her head. Shut up. You get one then, Draco, if you're so tough, Greg retorted. Draco snorted again. I already did, remember? Still trying to get rid of that one, thank you very much. Besides, I'm pretty sure if I came home with anything else permanently attached to me, then my mother will kill me. Sounds like you're afraid of your mummy, Hermione teased. Draco nodded with a grin, unashamedly so. The woman can be scary. Theo tapped Draco's shoulder in solidarity. Sounds like you're the pussy then, Draco, Greg smirked. I got a tattoo. You don't, and you wouldn't, 'cause you're too snooty for it, Draco shrugged. Stop saying that, Greg groaned. I dare you to get one then. Prove us all wrong, Hermione chirped up from his other side. Don't bother, Hermione. He won't do it. Draco waved his hand dismissively. You just called me Miney. Hermione stared at him for a long time. Draco stared back, finally offering a non-committal shrug. It's your name, isn't it? It's a pretty name. Hermione. 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 Hey, guys, Theo called out. Hermione. Hermione. It sounds a bit strange, though, when you say it too many times. Like it's not a proper word. Hermione, Draco continued. Hermione stared at him wide-eyed for a moment before bursting into laughter. Guys, Theo called again, a bit more urgently, causing them to look up. Theo was looking in the shop window, lazily pointing towards one of the tattoo stations. Oh shit, Hermione laughed before rushing into the shop. Greg, what the hell are you doing? She chuckled. What does it look like? I'm going to get a tattoo and prove you guys wrong. The tattoo artist looked up at the approaching group from his stole with an amused grin. I don't like to tattoo people when they're this drunk. They usually wake up regretting it, but the dude won't take no for an answer. Threw $2,000 on the bench and said he's not leaving till he gets something. Any suggestions? Hermione sighed. He won a big on the tables, like mega big. Natural at blackjack, but a bit of an idiot, it seems. She looked at Greg. I was joking. I'm letting you off the dare. Don't be dumb. He looked up at her with a grin and pulled the finger. Fuck you, Granger. Don't be all nice about it now. I leave. We both know I'll never hear the end of it. Tattoo me, my dude. He really wants a unicorn on his dick, Theo said, before he and Draco delved into fits of laughter. Hermione looked back at them in shock. She had just turned to argue not to, but the tattoo guy was already shaking his head with a grin. Genitalia is a hard pass for me, especially this drunk. I can put a unicorn on your ass, though, he asked Greg. He was very clearly amused by their little group. Greg yanked down his pants over his ass cheeks and flopped onto his stomach. The tattoo guy shook his head with a grin. Do not put a unicorn on his butt, Hermione cried, exasperated. Something's going on my butt, Granger. I don't care what it is. Hermione threw her hands up again, shaking her head in disbelief. You might not care right now, but I promise you in the morning you will be glad that I didn't let you get a fucking unicorn drawn on you permanently. The guy, who was now wiping a cloth with disinfectant over Greg's butt cheek, nodded. She's right, man. You're likely to still regret the answer, but a unicorn will make it so much worse. Aw, Theo whined in disappointment from behind them. Hermione spun around so fast, hissing at him to be quiet, that Draco threw his hands up in innocence. He gave her an appreciative scan, though. Granger, you're sexy when you're feisty, you know that? He bit at his bottom lip. Hermione chuckled quietly, closed her eyes, and let out an annoyed sigh. You cut it out too, Christ. She turned back to the tattoo artist who was already drawing something onto Greg's ass cheek with a marker. How about that? He said, sitting back after a minute. Hermione peered down at the cartoon-style playing card. A king with a stick figure arms and legs that had a cowboy boots on and a cowboy hat resting along its topside. You said he won big on blackjack, right? Hermione nodded. Yeah, a little over $500,000, she offered. The artist whistled. Congrats, dude. That's impressive. I feel less guilty taking your $2,000 now. Do you want to go take a look in the mirror and make sure you're happy with it? Nope. Just do it, Greg stated with determination. The tattoo guy shook his head, but he started up his machine anyway and got to work. She looked up to tell the boys to come have a look, but found that they were not in the shop. Oh, for fuck's sake, she sighed and collapsed into a couch pushed against the wall. The tattoo guy chuckled but said nothing. The 10 minutes that all boys were preoccupied doing Lord knows what gave Hermione the chance to think about what she was going to do. Harry would be able to get to them quickly, but he might be inclined to leave the boys here as punishment, which would be fair, but she wanted to make sure Astoria got her wedding day. Astoria would be the best bet realistically. Nothing like a pissed-off bride to get things done. Hermione, Draco called out, stumbling into the shop again, both he and Theo wearing entirely new outfits apart from Draco's suit jacket, which he wore like a blazer. Theo grinned behind him. I got you a present. He shoved a little blue velvet box at her. She opened it and felt her mouth fall open, her eyes wide as dinner plates. Malfoy, what the fuck, dude? She screeched. It's pretty, right? Like you. He grinned. Malfoy, this is an engagement ring, an incredibly expensive engagement ring by the looks of it, she hissed a little too loudly. Unfortunately, it also got the attention of the tattoo artist and Greg, who both looked over at the ring in the box, looking between Draco and Hermione in surprise. Oh, and you two totally have to get married, Greg called out. What? Hermione looked at him with a frown. Greg, don't be ridiculous. Malfoy and I aren't getting married. He doesn't want to marry me. I might, Draco stated with a shrug. Malfoy, shut up. You do not. Draco reached forward and grabbed her by the back of her neck and pulled her in, slamming his mouth against hers, his other arm winding around her waist and pulling her closer. Hermione was too shocked to even react, her hands waving around in the air in shock. Then he was gone, leaving her clutching a velvet box in one hand and her mouth hanging open, staring at him in shock. Hey, Granger, Greg called from his spot on the bench. Hermione's eyes drifted over to him. You dared me to get a tattoo. It will be on my body permanently for the rest of my life. I think it's only fair that I dare you two to get married. Greg, okay, Malfoy shrugged. Hermione glared at him. We are not getting married. We're not even friends, for fuck's sake, she screeched. I'm sorry, what? The tattoo artist asked. Do you typically go around buying jewelry that costs thousands of dollars for people you're not even mates with? Well, no, but we don't typically go around getting our friends tattooed either, Theo offered. Oh, come on, Granger, live a little. How many years did I spend on the... Hermione's eyes widened at how close he was to revealing their secrets to the muggles in this shop, but Draco seemed to catch himself in time. Goody two-shoes train, go wild for once, unless you're a pussy. Greg isn't a pussy. He didn't back down from midair. You're not gonna let a bunch of snakes beat you at your own game, are you, little lion? Hermione narrowed her eyes at him. She knew somewhere, deep down within herself, that she should say no. This was a terrible idea. They were all incredibly drunk in a foreign country and stranded. Instead, her pride got in the way and she slid the ring on her finger. Fine, she hissed. The tattoo man let out a shaky and disbelieving laugh. You guys are out the gate, he finished off the last of the tattoo on Greg's butt cheek and sat back with a satisfied smirk. Man, I wish I could be a fly on the wall of your hotel room tomorrow. All done. She had promptly entered the same jewelry store that the ring had been purchased from, demanding, rather rudely perhaps, that the man sell her a men's wedding band. She was more annoyed when they stumbled across the wedding chapel only a little way down the road. Both Theo and Greg insisted they go in and get the ceremony over and done with, and she was even more annoyed when she found that Malfoy was rather enjoying this little joke of theirs. She cursed herself when she found herself enjoying this kiss or the way he would throw his arms around her and pull her closer. She reminded herself they were drunk and having a bit of fun, and the lady there was so sweet and cheerful it was hard to argue this was a mistake. Breaking into the zoo was far easier than she had anticipated it to be. Theo, Draco, and her had hoisted Greg up the wall. Then Draco had lifted Granger up, whistling as he snuck a look up her dress. Hermione and Greg helped pull Draco up. Draco and Hermione were helping pull up Theo when Greg fell into a thump on the path below them, completely blacked out. The three of them sat, peering down at him from the top of the wall and giggling at him. "We will have to deal with him later. Come on, we need to find an owl," Hermione whispered, and dropped down, looking at the map for a moment. Then she crept off towards the birdhouse. She felt bad when she charmed the poor thing, but they needed to get help quickly. The zoo was a different time at night. Most of their animals were asleep in their enclosures, an odd animal waking to peer at them from within. "Hey guys, what are these things? They look so cute," Theo exclaimed, pointing into an enclosure with some odd-looking black and white birds. "Those are penguins," Hermione whispered back. "They're really interesting. They mate for life, and then when it's mating season, they all huddle together, taking turns to be on the inside. The males keep the egg warm while the females go off to hunt the fish, but they are incredibly loyal to their partners." "No, like Blaze and Astoria. It's a shame he's in a mood. He would like these guys." Draco stared at him. "Theo, you kidnapped him and the rest of us and didn't even plan a way home. I think his mood is warranted," Draco stated obviously. "We should borrow a few for him. Cheer him up." Hermione giggled. Draco grinned at his new wife. "No." He shook his head. "Oh, come on, live a little, husband." She exaggerated the final word, turning his own words back on him. He regretted his choice to give in, though, when they approached Gregory's sleeping form, each with a shrunken-down penguin in their hands. Theo was two that he had named Peccary and Mellabeak, and realized he wouldn't wake up and there was no way they would be able to carry him. Theo chuckled. "Those guys look like Greg right now." He pointed into an enclosure that held several large gorillas, all sleeping in his spread-out forms, just like Greg. Hermione scoffed. "Hold this." She handed Draco the penguin in her hand. "Granger, what are you doing?" Draco hissed. "Malfoy," Theo corrected absently. "We will come back and get him. It will be fine. But he's too heavy to carry." Hermione levitated Greg over to the enclosure, waving her wand over him, and the gorilla slowly replaced Greg's sleeping form before she levitated him in to join the rest of the gorillas. When she had turned, she had a devious little smirk on her face. "Think of it as payback for us getting married," she giggled. Hermione was somehow still coherent enough to think to wipe the cameras as they hitched themselves and the shrunk-down penguins over the wall again. She was clearly hitting the wall, though, because they were halfway between the wedding chapel and the motel Blaze was locked away in when she stopped, leaning against the wall of the building with an alarming lack of balance. "I'm tired," she whined. Draco looked around and spotted a bigger, more comfortable-looking hotel. "Get on." Draco bent down, offering his back for her to climb on. "No, we got a good husband looking after his wife," Theo teased, but Hermione grinned. "He is a good husband, isn't he?" She stumbled over and climbed onto Draco's back. The hotel clerk was rather amused by the sight of them, but when Hermione dumped hundreds of thousands worth of chips onto their counter, they obliged with pretty much every request she gave them, including to reserve the honeymoon suite for Astoria and Blaze, as she later explained was to make up for their craziness. Her feet were raw and her skin was torn and bleeding just below her Achilles heel as well as on her pinky toes. Christ, Granger, Draco grumbled in a second-hand pain just from looking at them. He waved a quick healing charm over both her feet as she fell backwards onto the bed, barely bothering to brush her hair out of her face. He walked down the hall to find Theo, but found his room already empty, likely to go fetch Blaze. Frankly, he was tired and sore and his head hurt. Perhaps it would be best to leave their hotel key in his room in case he had trouble remembering which one they were in once morning time arrived. Stumbling back off to his and Hermione's room, he was shocked to find her clothes had been discarded on the floor. There he is, my husband. Hermione giggled from the bed, only a sheet covering what appeared to be her very naked body. Granger, he chuckled, what are you doing? It's hot, and my clothes are constricting, and they were making me feel sick, she mumbled with a pout. Besides, what does it matter if you see me naked, husband? I suppose it doesn't. It is hot, isn't it? He realized just how overheated he felt. And he couldn't decide if it came from the desert heat or the excessive amounts of alcohol still coursing through his system. It wasn't until he was sitting still on the edge of the bed that he realized how much the room was spinning. You should take your clothes off. I feel so much better, Hermione mumbled, half asleep. Draco ripped his shirt off, suddenly feeling it was too tight, his eyes closing as he shredded the rest of his clothes. Good night, wife, he mumbled. Good night, Draco. Her barely coherent response came. He was already asleep before his head hit the pillow.